Okay, welcome back. So I want to concentrate now on this mobile development and responsive web design part of Assignment 1. So the goal of this whole exercise is to make content that looks both well on a desktop and on a tablet and on a mobile, etc. Right? So one question you can ask yourself: what are the different ways to achieve this? And this is the homepage of the English Wikipedia website. This is the desktop version, right? So it's quite a crowded page, in my opinion, with lots of text, different columns, a lot of functionality, links, search, text fields, etc. And how do they deal with the problem that this should also be accessible on mobile? Anyone? Because they have quite a specific solution for this. It's actually the first solution that's talked about in the Zuidboek, but it's a bit cryptic in my opinion in the Zuidboek. So what they do is they make just a second website. Right? They have duplicated the entire website, and they have a different website specifically for mobile. It has the same URL, only with en.n.wikipedia, and it looks like this on my laptop. Right, so if you look at the bar there, it has this N for mobile, so it's a different URL with a different website, and they just designed a website specifically for mobile. So this is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to look actually at the request that the browser sends to the server. Right. So here on the top left of the page, you have a desktop browser and you have a mobile browser below, and they both request the same homepage on the same website. But in that request, they also provide some information about themselves. There is a field called the user agent, and in the value of the user agent contains some very long text with the description of the browser brand. So in this case it's Chrome, in the other case it's iPhone. And the web server can use this to decide either to show a desktop version or to do a mobile version. Right? So that's it's less work for the user because you don't need to select which version of the website you want to view. But it also has some other drawbacks because you still need to duplicate your content. Right? You need to have a version for one and a version for the other, maybe even multiple ones. Are there any other drawbacks you can think of this approach? So if you see the user agent is Chrome, how sure are you that this is on desktop? Could this also be on mobile? Right, this could be on mobile. Are other ways to find out that you're on mobile, but what happens if you get a request from a browser that you don't recognize? Right? Then should you do the desktop version or the mobile version? And there are a lot of different browsers nowadays. So this approach also has drawbacks. And the other approach, the third approach that is described in the Zuidboek is by making this your whole entire website design responsive. And responsive means responsive to different devices of different kinds. And that's also the approach that we're going to use in Assignment 1. So the goal of Assignment 1 is to make your site adaptable to different devices, different screen sizes, but also to a version that, for example, doesn't need a mouse, but works as well on touch. And like I said before, one way to use that, to test that, is using these developer tools in your browser. So again, we will use the Chrome developer tools as an example, but you have similar functionality in other browsers. So try to to use this this emulator. Right? I'm going to do it again for the Zybook here. So if you're in this responsive mode, right, so you can select different popular phone models here, but you can also put it on responsive. And if you put it on responsive, then you can just arbitrarily resize the viewport and see how your website behaves. This somehow takes a long time. So you will see here that the Zybook actually doesn't behave very well, right? Because I've enlarged the viewport a lot, and it doesn't do things. But apart from changing the screen size, you can do various other things. So you can switch this DPR ratio, right? So this is the display pixels ratio compared to the logical pixels. So the default here is 2. So this has to do with this scaling for high density screens, right? So in the old days, one pixel in your image and 1 pixel in your screen matched 1-on-1. But because the screen now has so many pixels, this means that images tend to be really, really, really small on these these small screens with a large number of pixels. So you need to scale up a bit. And how much you can scale depends on your device, of course, on your screen, and you can play with that by using these settings. But there are many more settings that you can play with. You can play with the online or offline modes, or all kinds of other network settings. There's the landscape versus portrait toggle, right, that you have on many mobiles that you can play with. So use all these to check how your website behaves under different circumstances. And in the Zybook there are a number of other examples that you can use. So it explains this device pixel ratio, emulating different network conditions, but also these sensors. Maybe I could show you this. Right. So to remind you that on the mobile phone, Galaxy. Okay. This demo effect. So you see the pointer that indicates a mouse. What it should have done, and what it typically always does, except for this class, is that instead of a mouse pointer, it shows a big fat circle to indicate that probably on your touch screen on your phone, your users are not going to use a mouse, but a fat finger to click on very small buttons like this, right? So if you try this yourself, it should do the version with the. I don't know why it doesn't do that. Let's do it again. Yeah, this is what I mean. Right, so this is it gives you some indication that it feels different to do this with a touch screen with your fingers than with a sharply defined mouse pointer. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So please play around with this, and before you submit, test if your website behaves well under these different circumstances. Now, there's one technical detail that the Zybook devotes an entire section on this. I think that it's a good choice from Zybook, but this is a problem that many people don't understand. So if you miss this viewport declaration, a lot of things in your website don't behave on mobile like you want them to behave. So make sure that if things don't work, you have checked if you have this viewport thing, and if you didn't make any mistake about it, because this always causes a lot of problems in the assignment. So the idea is that because your phone has a much smaller viewport, right? The area that you can see. What early phones did is just assume it was bigger, then render the page on that size, and then scale it back, make it smaller, to make sure that it fits on the actual phone. And that makes websites look very, very small and tiny and hard to access. So to fix this, right, Apple introduced this HTML feature, and other browsers followed suit, where you could actually, as a website developer, would override this default to the actual value of your device. And so it's a bit kind of a reverse engineering, that you have to define what the actual screen width of your device is, because the default is that the browser will act like it's much bigger than it is in reality. So if you don't do this, weird things will happen, because you switch back in this old mode where the browser of your phone will just assume that your phone is much bigger than it is in reality. So please pay attention to this. If you use the example here, and put this literally in the head section of your HTML page, then 99% of the problems are solved already. So just copy paste this, you have solved most of the problems. If you really want to understand the details of why you need it, please take care of the Zybook section 5.3. But this is the crucial part that you need for the assignment. Right, so here you can see the difference between using the viewport and not using it. So on the left, the browser just assumes that the viewport is 960 pixels wide, while it isn't. And then to make it fit, it scales back the entire page so it does fit. So the entire page looks really small, while in the other case, people have defined the viewport, so you don't have to scale it back, but in this case you need horizontal scaling. So then, of course, my advice would be use the right version, but with an option that prevents horizontal scaling without making things so very small. Then you have the best of both worlds. So that's exactly what you need for assignment 1. And then to help you in your style sheet, you can also use units in your CSS that are relative to the size of your viewport. So that's also handy, right? So then 100 VW units means 100% of the viewport width, and 50 VH units means 50% of the viewport height. Is that clear? So you can use this also in your CSS. Personally, I've not seen these units used a lot in practice, so either they're relatively new or they're not as well supported in many browsers. So use these activities in the Zybook to play around with it a bit. But definitely, if you're experiencing troubles with the responsiveness in assignment 1, check if this viewport thing is okay. Okay. So from the material in Zybook that you really need for this assignment, I think section 5.4 is the last one. It's about media queries. So this is really about the technical details, how you do this. Once you have your viewport set up, how you make your CSS rules that they adapt to these different devices. And there are basically three main categories of devices that you can cater for, right? Mobile, tablet, and desktop. And the current trend in the industry now is that you design first for mobile, right? And then when the mobile version works, then you think about how to make it even better for desktop and tablet. And for most cases, the answer is we don't need to do anything. We just keep the mobile version as is, also on desktop, because it works good enough. And we only add the features for the desktop if that's really necessary. So that's in contrast with the other approach where you do maybe overcomplicated design for your desktop and then try to scale it down for mobile to make it work on mobile. Do mobile first and then see what you need to change, if anything, for other environments. And we'll see that if you design the website well, the main thing you need to adapt is the layout, but in terms of functionality, there should be not too much that you need to adapt. So one thing that is often a problem is that the horizontal-oriented layout that works well on desktop, because you have these landscape-shaped screens, doesn't work on the more portrait-oriented mobile phones, right? So if you have a navigational area that's here on the yellow on the left, that might work well on your desktop, it doesn't work as well on your mobile, so maybe it's better to have these navigational links on the top, or on the bottom instead. Right, so the difference between the layout on the left and the layout on the right, that could be a good inspiration for assignment 1 to try these different versions for your phone shop. Is that clear? Now, how to do that? So one option in CSS that is explicitly designed for this are the media queries. They start with ampersand at media, and you can query for specific media types, for example, screen or print, but also for specific properties of your device. So you can query, select, for example, that rules should only apply if the maximum screen height is so many pixels and not the other way around. And so you can also make, for example, rules that only apply for screen readers in the speech environment, but not for other things. And the other features that I use a lot are device height and width. But also, for example, the orientation. Right? So knowing if your mobile phone is in landscape mode or in portrait mode could be something that you want to have different CSS rules for, and you can do so with this feature. So that's also a hint for assignment 1. Try to play around with this. So how does it look like? Here there's an embedded style rule, right? So again, I don't want you to use this embedded feature, so this could be a similar rule in external style sheet in your case. But this is add media rule that says that this rule only applies to a screen environment, and only if the width is not larger than this specific value, 800 pixels. And then within this rule, so you have curly brackets again, then you have your normal rule, dot proposal. What does dot proposal mean? Hint proposal is not the HTML tag. It's not an HTML attribute name, but it's the, what is it?
It's the class.
It's a class, right? It's a class equals proposal. So this proposal is something that the web designer made up themselves, and they use it in their CSS to make a rule that applies to everything, every element that has a class with the value proposal, and it says, okay, the width should be should be this. Right? And the other details you can find out yourself. So what this means if you develop using this style is that you need to make these decisions that for everything smaller than this, I do this, right? And everything bigger than that, I do something else. Now these points of where you flip between one rule to another rule is called a breakpoint, right? And you need to think carefully what are good breakpoints, right? So one aspect of the decision, what are good breakpoints, are of course what are the most likely screen sizes that are in use for your audience, right? Having a breakpoint at 10,000 pixels might work for the one big screen in the world that has more than 10,000 pixels, but it's not very useful for most of the devices. So that's one thing. The other thing is of course what helps for your content. And if your content actually works well between 100 and 1,000, there's no need to discriminate between them. That's also a good reason not to use any breakpoints in between. So both look at the devices that are available and the content, the needs of your content. So here are examples of different designs that work in different environments. Right, so the virtual for the mobile, the more horizontal oriented on the right for the desktop, and the tablet somewhere in the middle. These are screens that you can get to by using the right breakpoints. And then in general, using these breakpoints is better than querying for the brand, for example, that you do one rule for the iPhone and one rule for the Android. It's better to use these breakpoints in terms of device height and device width, because then it applies to a wide range of brands with the same screen size. And finally, this also means to make sure that your website reflows automatically if your website viewport, if your web browser viewport changes. Right? So remember that if you have normal text, where the line breaks and the text is determined by your browser automatically. Right? So if you resize the screen, you will see that the text flow will adopt automatically. But it does not apply to all the block elements. So one way to make sure that also your block elements, for example, your images, reflow automatically is by using these grids. And so you don't need to use these grids. There are other ways to solve this, but this is a very nice way to achieve this goal. And these grid properties of CSS, they are relatively new. They only became standardized 2 years ago. So I've not used them in the previous version of this class because they were new and not very well documented. But since they are in the Zybook, I think it's very nice to actually use them this year, but it's not mandatory. So you can get all the points for assignment 1 without using them, but if you want to use them, feel free to do so. And again, you can play around with them in the activities. Okay, so the other sections in the Zybook I marked as optional. So this is about responsive images, right? So this is to make sure that people that have a low resolution screen don't waste a lot of bandwidth downloading very high resolution images, but also people that have a high resolution screen don't see ugly low bandwidth images, and you deal with different types of images for different types of users. These kind of advanced users that feel free to explore that in the Zybook, but it's not mandatory for this class, and you won't need it for the assignment. I want to, before we stop, I want to go quickly to the assignment itself. So this is the one part that I didn't cover yesterday. Right, so this is the part about responsiveness. So you will see that there are still two ways to do the assignment. If you really find the responsive part too difficult or too hard, and you don't get it to work, there's always a plan B option, and if you do this Wikipedia style, you just have two versions of your website. Right? So that's a kind of a plan B fallback. You just make a third style sheet. You have screen and print. You also do handheld or phone or whatever to make a third version that at least shows you that you thought about how your website looks like, should look like on a mobile phone. So that's the plan B. The plan A is the more advanced responsive approach that we just discussed, where you use the examples that are in the Zuidboek, the media queries, breakpoints, to have different layouts for the different screen sizes and maybe other things that change in the mobile environment versus desktop environment. Right, so my advice would be try this, and if you find it's really not working and you don't get it to work, also don't spend too much time on it to fall back to option 1, because you can still get most of the points with option 1. But if you want to have the full range of points, you need to do option 2. Is that clear?
If I use plan B, do I still have to implement point 1.1? 0.2, sorry. If we go.
Sorry, that's
yeah, it says that you have to create a style sheet that's entitled print for the print.
Okay, so you still need to do the screen and the print, right? And either you make your screen work responsive, and then you still have you only submit screen and print, and then your screen is the screen style sheet is the responsive one that works both for desktop and for mobile, or you do plan B and you make screen, print, and handheld, and you submit free style sheets.
But if I did the responsive approach, then I don't have to use to insert like 3 style sheets.
No, if you do the responsive one, you only do submit 2 style sheets. One responsive one for screen, and one for print.
So print I have to do
Print you have to do anyway, yeah.
just because of the color.
Just because of the?
Colors.
Not only for cost. So I think print is different. It can be different in the course, but it can be different in many other ways, especially in the interactive part. Right? So think about the interactive part. Are links still useful in the print version? Is a form still useful in the print version? Things like that. How to deal with that. Are there other questions? So assignment 1 is entirely clear. If you go to your lab after lunch or tomorrow, you know what to do. Then I wish you all the best. Like I said, the deadline for assignment 1 is on Monday. If you are finished after today, after lectures today, tomorrow, feel free to submit earlier, and have a nice weekend. Thanks.